Icy Hot Pro with 2 max strength pain relievers. Targets multiple pain receptors. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last.
Introducing the new Volvo XC90 with 7-seat versatility, Google built-in, and advanced safety features for all your precious cargo. The new Volvo XC90, designed for life. Visit volvocars.com/US to learn more.
My name is Happy Gilmore. I haven't swung a club in years.
You know what you gotta do.
Grip it and rip it.
Or... Oh, now that is some Happy Gilmore!
Everyone is talking about the comeback kid, Happy Gilmore.
Happy Knee.
Yeah, baby!
Happy Gilmore 2, only on Netflix July 25th. Rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13.
Hey everyone, Sadia Khan here. I am the executive producer of Sportly. Before we dive in, I wanted to give a little context. With the new season of America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders out on Netflix, there's been a lot of conversation around pay equity, body standards, and what it really takes to be a professional cheerleader.
Like, when we make this team, we're gonna make it together because we're such good friends. But then it doesn't always end up like that.
So we thought this was the perfect moment to revisit one of our favorite episodes. It dives into the complex, often contradictory world of cheerleading, where empowerment and exploitation can collide in surprising ways. I hope you enjoyed this episode and come back for a brand new Sportly episode next week.
Before we dive in, just a quick heads up. This episode will discuss serious accusations involving voyeurism and exploitation and sexual harassment in the world of cheerleading. So please take care while listening.
Here they are, your Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
It's November 10th, 1975, and the Dallas Cowboys are facing off against the Kansas City Chiefs in Irving, Texas. Texas Stadium is packed with over 60,000 fans filling the stands, most of the crowd just too hyped to sit. In the third quarter, the focus and the camera shifts to the sidelines. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are rallying the crowd in their iconic blue and white uniforms. As the team set up on the line of scrimmage, the shot pans to cheerleader Gwenda Swearingen, who winks at the camera. It's a quick move, barely lasting a second, but its impact is immediate.
I think she was doing that for you, Frank. No, she was very effective.
Within days, that moment makes headlines. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are on their way to becoming a household name. Now, the Cowboys did lose to the Chiefs in that game, but they end up making the Super Bowl a couple of months later. And by Super Bowl 10 in January 1976, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are as much a part of the show as the football itself. Their routines captivate millions and solidify cheerleading as an enduring symbol of American sports. Hi, everyone. I'm Kavitha Davidson, and welcome to another episode of Sportly. Each week, we dive into the intersection of sports and culture, exploring the athletes, iconic moments, and the stories that change the way you see the game. Today, we're talking about cheerleading. Now, at its core, cheerleading is a unique blend of gymnastics, athleticism, dance, and entertainment. And beneath the pom-poms and glitter, it's an incredibly physically demanding and at times dangerous activity, as cheerleaders today master stunts and choreography that can rival the athleticism of the players they cheer for. Now, cheerleading exists across all sports, as we know, and not every team has a cheerleader. For example, I'm in New York, and the New York Football Giants do not have cheerleaders, but the Knicks City Dancers are a pretty big deal of the game whenever you go to Madison Square Garden.
Now, you know the City Dancers, Paul? These are the lovely women that come out during timeouts and entertain the crowd at Madison Square Garden.
The Knicks City Dancers! Is that who you're talking about?
That's right, Paul.
But our main focus today is on professional cheerleading in the NFL. Cheerleading's history is a complicated one. On the one hand, it's been celebrated as a platform for women's empowerment and agency. And on the other hand, it's deeply entwined with issues of objectification and exploitation. From the glamorous spotlight of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders to really troubling abuse accusations, cheerleading raises some really tough questions. Can cheerleading be empowering and exploitative at the same time? And what does this duality reveal about the culture of sports and the way women are treated within it? Let's start at the beginning. It's the early 1900s, and we're at a West Point Academy football game in West Point, New York. A young cadet with an unmistakable presence stands tall, megaphone in hand. He's leading the crowd in a series of chants, his voice booming over the roar of the crowd through call and response cheers. The name of that young cheerleader is Dwight D. Eisenhower. Yeah, that Dwight D. Eisenhower, future 5-star general, supreme commander of the Allied forces, and 34th president of the United States, was once a cheerleader.
General Eisenhower addresses the assembled battalion.
You young men have this war to win. It is small unit leadership.
Now, to clarify, this wasn't really his first choice. Eisenhower was a promising football player who also fenced, rode horses, and boxed, to name just a few of his athletic interests. But after a devastating knee injury ended his playing days, he traded in his jersey for a megaphone and took on the role of cheerleader, also known at the time as yell leaders. Back then, cheerleading was about rallying the crowd, not so much the acrobatics or the spectacle or the dancing that we see today, and it was actually a predominantly male activity. In fact, 3 other U.S. presidents, including FDR, Ronald Reagan, and George W. Bush, were also cheerleaders in their youth. The role begins to shift during World War II when, out of necessity, women step into roles that had usually been reserved for men, including cheerleading. By the 1950s, cheerleading evolves into a blend of synchronized dance and visual performance, often emphasizing femininity alongside athleticism. In the 60s and 70s, everything really changes. The 1970s mark a turning point for women in America, with the second wave feminism and sexual liberation movements pushing for greater equality, reproductive rights, and personal freedom and autonomy. And we see this particularly in the enactment of Title IX and increasing opportunities for women in sports. As women fight to redefine their roles, cheerleading changes alongside these shifts in society. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, as we mentioned, become a household name and a cultural phenomenon.
We Dallas cheerleaders are telling our friends about super rich Fabergé organic shampoo with pure wheat germ oil and honey. For super shine, super body, and fresh smelling hair, use it every day.
The high expectations and protectiveness of figures like Suzanne Mitchell, director of the DCC from 1976 to 1989, helps shift cheerleading from being just a sideline job to a position with huge cultural recognition. The cheerleaders aren't just about dancing and cheering. They're as widely known for their beauty and talent as they are for their extensive charity work and serving as ambassadors of the Cowboys team. Mitchell's vision for the DCC turns the squad into a brand that represents empowerment, elegance, professionalism, and charity. Mitchell also recognizes the potential for the Cowboys cheerleaders to become sex symbols alongside women of the era like Farrah Fawcett and Faye Dunaway. She more than doubles the size of the squad, holding open auditions alongside a former Broadway choreographer and ushering in their signature dance style.
But one of the biggest competitions in all of pro sports happens not out on the playing field, but on the sidelines. It's the battle to become a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
Now, they had already worn their now iconic blue and white cowgirl-inspired uniforms for a number of years, but Mitchell recognizes that they are just made for TV. To today's viewer, those uniforms are relatively tame, but at the time, they're seen as unconventionally sexy, with fringed shorts and crop tops and go-go boots. Cameramen begin focusing on cheerleaders on the sidelines in close-ups unfortunately known as honey shots. And it's all part of an overall effort in the NFL to use television in new ways to turn games into whole entertainment events. It really can't be overstated just how much of a cultural phenomenon the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are at this time. They're featured in calendars and pinup posters, movies and commercials. And in 1979, the DCC even get their own made-for-TV movie about a news editor who sends his girlfriend undercover to try out for the squad in an effort to expose the team and its seedy underbelly and to write a scandalous article that will hopefully save his career.
Goody look, but don't touch nonsense. I want to cut through all that phony PR and show those girls for what they really are. And you know why? Because I'm in the news business. My readers
Only he discovers that they're hardworking, wholesome, and squeaky clean, regardless of what people think about how they dress or dance. The DCC doesn't just redefine cheerleading during this era. They change the way people see women in the spotlight. They bring a mix of strength, grace, and professionalism that tell a new story, women who own their power and aren't afraid to shine. But not everyone is a fan of the way these women feature themselves. Some feminists criticize them for exploiting themselves as sex objects, and many on the religious right denounce them as immoral for wearing revealing outfits. So they kind of get it from all sides. But a few years ago, I interviewed a number of these former Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders who worked on these emerging squads in the 1970s. And while some of them certainly took issue with some of the rules and practices that they came under, pretty much everyone that I talked to emphasized that they chose to be there and they knew what they were signing up for, and that choice should be respected. Now, that said, the past few years have certainly revealed many instances of exploitative working conditions, low pay, and in some cases, abuse suffered by NFL cheerleaders throughout the years. The pressure to maintain a specific image is relentless. Cheerleaders are often held to very strict beauty standards and weight limitations. Squads have subjected their cheerleaders to regular weigh-ins, which cause some women to forego eating on those days to stay within a 3-pound range of their ideal weight. Many have spoken about the toll that this takes on their mental health and body image, which was a key theme in the recent Netflix docuseries America's Sweethearts, the Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders.
Yo, heads up, it's time, it's focus.
Beautiful, classy, feminine.
Everything would be perfect if I were that woman.
It's a lot of pressure every single night. Our job is to make it look easy. Since I was little, Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, that's what I want to do.
And then there's the issue of pay. According to a 2022 report by NBC Sports Boston, the average pay for NFL cheerleaders is around $150 per game, which comes to about $22,500 a year. There are also nominal fees of around $50 to $75 per public appearance. Now, this barely covers the time that they spend rehearsing, performing, and getting ready. Some squads even require their cheerleaders to spend hundreds of dollars of their own money on their uniforms. The issue of fair pay has been the subject of numerous lawsuits in the past decades. In 2014, Lacey Thibodeau Fields, a former cheerleader for the Oakland Raiders who was known as Lacey T, filed a class action suit against the team claiming wage violations. She said that the Raiderettes were effectively earning less than $5 an hour due to a flat payment system of $125 per home game, which did not account for mandatory unpaid rehearsals, public appearances, and other team-related activities.
I think a lot of people are really scared. I mean, the media attention is extremely intimidating for most people, and to get their name out there and potentially end their career, it's scary. So Yeah, as of right now, I'm the only one standing up.
In 2014, the Raiders agreed to pay $1.25 million in back pay to 90 former Raiderettes. At least 10 NFL teams have been sued by cheerleaders for wage theft, unsafe working conditions, sexual harassment, and discrimination. The darker side of these lawsuits first came to light in the early 2000s. In 2002, dozens of former Philadelphia Eagles cheerleaders filed a lawsuit against 29 NFL teams, saying that there had been peepholes into their showers at Veterans Stadium for decades. They said the peepholes allowed visiting players to spy on them and was an open secret that had been passed down among players dating all the way back to 1983. And it seems that things like this just aren't an isolated issue. In 2015, the Dallas Cowboys were rocked by accusations made against Richard Dalrymple, the former longtime senior vice president for public relations and communications. 4 cheerleaders accused him of voyeurism, saying that they saw him standing behind a partial wall in their locker room as they were changing, with an iPhone extended toward them.
President Rich Dalrymple recorded video of the cheerleaders changing in a locker room at AT&T Stadium in 2015. The report claims
Dalrymple was also accused of trying to snap upskirt photos of a woman executive, a daughter of Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, in a separate incident. In 2022, ESPN reported that the Cowboys had quietly paid the women a $2.4 million settlement back in 2016, and the women and their family members had to sign an NDA at the time. That report was published 2 weeks after Dalrymple retired from the team. Similar stories have emerged from other NFL teams like Washington, whose cheerleaders gave harrowing details of a 2013 calendar shoot in Costa Rica. The women said they were required to pose topless and act essentially as escorts for sponsors and suite holders. A lot of cheerleaders have said that groping and harassment are just part of the job, particularly when it comes to interacting with VIP fans. Now, while doing research for this episode, I came across a quote from a Medium writer named N. Renee Yonker, who wrote about professional cheerleaders. And she wrote, quote, "Yes, the women do provide sexually suggestive entertainment for male sports fans, but it is also true that these women are athletes themselves who choose to be there." And I tend to agree with that statement. Whether cheerleaders are objectified or empowered depends on how you look at it and who has control. Some would say that cheerleading is catered to the male gaze with its revealing outfits and sexual dance routines, and that's probably true to a degree. But the flip side is that a lot of women do embrace this role. They see it as a way to showcase their talents, their strength, their charisma, and yes, their beauty. They're choosing to participate in how they present themselves, which shifts the dynamic from passive objectification to active expression that can benefit their career. The key difference lies in intent and participation, and of course, consent. The peephole incident and the voyeurism charges were obviously clear invasions of privacy, turning these women into objects without their knowledge or permission. And that is not the same as a cheerleader confidently performing in an outfit that they choose to wear, knowing exactly how they're presenting themselves and to whom. Many cheerleaders who have come forward about harassment and interactions with donors and other VIPs have said that while they weren't necessarily physically forced to engage, they did feel some level of coercion, that it was necessary to comply in order to keep their highly coveted jobs. So it's important to consider who gets to define where that line is, because one is empowerment and the other is exploitation. Thanks so much for listening to Sportly. Sportly is an Immigrantly media production. This episode was produced by Sadia Khan and Shay Yu, written by Jonathan Hazel, Shay Yu, and me, Kavitha Davidson. Our sound designer and editor is Paroma Chakravarti. Our theme music was created by Simon Hutchinson. Other music by Epidemic Sound. Tune back in next week and every week after for more Sportly.